Hi and welcome to the first round of a GOAT Local in Osnabrück. This is a pre-recorded feature match which we will have throughout the whole live stream so that you can watch some quality gameplay in between rounds. And we have Escaroda on the left between Amma on the right. Both players are well experienced. Escaroda topped 2 German Gold Grand Prix last season and Amma did top Gold Grand Prix Osnabrück. So both players know exactly what they're doing, and Escaroda is bringing some spice, I can promise you that. Escaroda started us off with a set monster, and Amma dropped a Thunder Dragon, revealing what type of deck he's playing, and also setting a monster and 2 spell traps. And then Escaroda flips the X-headed cannon! That's the spice I promised you. Escaroda is known for his love of machine decks, and here he is bringing some underrated machine deck, and he is slamming his X-head cannon into the Dekoichi of Amma, who gets a free draw, but loses his trusty train in the process. Now it's Amma's turn. He has exactly 1 light, 1 dark engraved, and that's fodder for his Chaos Sorcerer, which wants to banish the X-headed cannon of Escaroda. With 1 back row, the play is back to him, and we see a Trap Dust Shoot and get more info about the deck Escaroda is playing. We see a Magician, a Black Luster Soldier, Tribe, Call, Spell Shield type B, and Pot of Greed. And the Magician is shuffled back, not the Black Luster Soldier. I mean, Escaroda has no access, not an access to a light monster right now, so it's understandable that you want to deal with the immediate danger, which would be the Magician, especially with Pot of Greed in Escaroda's hand, which is activated next. And now he summons a Tribe and gets to discard the newly drawn X-headed cannon, which is a light. So now Escaroda has a light engrave and a dark in hand, which is good news for him. And now he wants to attack with the Tribe, directly dealing first blood in this matchup. Amma dropping down to 6 for life, and then Escaroda elects to draw 1 more card with Jar of Greed. Interesting timing for the jar. Could have maybe activated it earlier, but he elected to drop it just now. And now Escaroda is thinking about what he wants to do. Does he want to lay down some protection, or is he good with just standing there on his Tribe? And he elects to set 1 spell trap face down. And Amma asks for cards in Escaroda's hands, and now is back to his decision. And he flips the Jar of Greed of his own. Escaroda doesn't quite know yet if Amma is playing Chaos Turbo or Chaos Control, and Amma is generally known for playing Chaos Control, so it's safe to assume that he is on that. And also, both players know each other really well. They play in the same Warlick team and play in the same local every week. There is the Ragiki break from Amma with Serpent in hand, which is the perfect card to discard here, and to get rid of the Tribe-infecting virus on Escaroda's side of the field. He sets 3 more backrows, and Amma gets to destroy 1 in the end phase with Mystical Space Typhoon. The big question is, which one? And he selects his target, but Escaroda doesn't want this target to get destroyed, and chains Special Type B, which negates the Mystical Space Typhoon because it is a spell card which targets a card from Escaroda. Very interesting tech, which worked like a charm at this time. Now Heavy Storm von Amma for the suit, and now Special Type B is gone, but there's a second one! So Heavy Storm does not target, but you can discard a spell card to negate a non-targeting spell card. So there was a second Special Type B, which also worked really well for Escaroda here. He did lose his Swords of Revealing Light in the process, but I think he doesn't mind because he got to keep his 2 protection cards. Now there are 3 cards. He adds 1 and passes right back to Amma, who can't really get any aggression on the field, which is unfortunate because Escaroda tends to play decks which are very aggressive and could put you down in an instant. So giving Escaroda time is certainly not what you want to do, but let's see if Amma gets punished for that. Because he still has no aggression, only a set spell or trap. And Escaroda flips Call of the Haunted in his turn, gets back his X-headed cannon, and there we see the scapegoats from Amma. We did expect it earlier, and I think Escaroda pretty much knew that they were there, but now we have the confirmation. Amma is in fact playing Chaos Control, and Escaroda thinks a bit about whether he wants to keep 4 or attack 1, and he wants to keep 4 tokens on Amma's field. He wants to keep his field clogged and yeah, not allow him to do any big pushes. And there we see a Metamorphosis activated by Amma, getting Tribe Infecting Virus, which now wants to possess the X-headed cannon, but Escalada says, nope, I keep that, and you, yeah, take that ring. Creature swap now wants to trade the X-headed cannon with a scapegoat token, but Escalada says, no, another counter trap, Solemn Judgment. Escalada definitely doesn't want that to happen. Drops down to 4,000 life points, but keeps his X-headed cannon, and now has a token in attack mode, which he can use to attack into to deal some massive damage here. Let's see if he wants to do that. And now he summoned his Z metal tank. So he really has the full access to the XYZ monsters. We didn't see the dragon head yet, but it is there, I promise. The Z tank deals 1/5 damage to a token on Amma's field. And Escalada could now do some interesting plays. He could use his Z tank as an union card. He also could go into a fusion summon, but he doesn't do that for now. He just wants to keep his 2 buddies. And Amma has a set monster as well. And now Escalada wants to get rid of the remaining 2 tokens, which is successful here. Amma is left with a set card and a set monster on his field, and Escalada just passes. He's pretty sitting comfortably on his 2 buddies there. And Delinquent Duo by Amma getting rid of Limiter and Black Luster Soldier in Escalada's hand. This was really needed. I mean, Amma obviously knew about the Black Luster Soldier back from the Trap Dust Shoot, which happened many turns ago. But getting rid of the limiter removal as well. This was pretty much the whole OTK plan by Escalada, and it got foiled. X-headed cannon destroys Serpent in battle. We knew about that. Amma used it before. And the Z attacks into a spy, which gets Amma some field presence back. And Escalada drops down to 3,500 life points, which is a dangerous spot. And yeah, it's a range which can easily cleared by a BLS ring push, for example. But yeah, nothing he can do about that. Amma enters his turn, adds back his Sinister Serpent, sets another monster, and still no aggression. He's very, very passive the whole game. He can't really get anything going here. Escalada flips the Dekoichi on his own. It's also a machine. It's also a dark. There's really good synergy here for Escalada. He gets a draw. And now he maybe has a decision to make what to do with that Dekoichi on board. He was about to put it in the graveyard, but he's still thinking about it. And now it is in the grave because it was tribute fodder for Jinzo. Obviously, if you play a machine deck, Jinzo is in there. And Premature follows up suit, getting back that Dekoichi. This is a very, very big push. But what does Escalada want to do with that? Still 3 monsters on Amma's side, and Amma is still sitting kind of comfortably with 3,900 life points. So there should be no OTK push. Amma should be relatively safe, but let's see. X-headed cannon attacks over Magician. Magician gets back Metamorphosis for next turn with Serpent in hand. Definitely a good pickup. And now Escalada attacks with Z into Spy. That is not strong enough yet. There's a limiter removal, boosting Z. And Z and Dekoichi can now clear the remaining spies. Jinzo is on 4,800 attack points, can attack directly, and that is it. Just like that, in an instant, Escalada clears the remaining life points of Amma. And this is what I mean. Machine decks are very, very dangerous. Limiter is a card. Escalada risked the scapegoats here, but he was feeling like, okay, Amma probably doesn't have a second one. And he was correct. Amma starts off in game 2, dropping Thunder Dragon from his hand, adding 2 new copies, and then following suit with Delinquent Duo, ripping the X-headed cannon from Escalada, who also discards a Sangan. So he now has Light Dark available, and that's very, very early, and that is definitely a good thing. But Amma also has Pot of Greed, second Trinity piece in a row here in his first turn. Definitely a way, way better start than in game 1, and this should lead to him, pressure Escalada a bit more than he was able to in the previous game. But let's see. Only the T set by Amma, 1 monster, 1 spell trap. And Escalada banishes his light and his dark and drops BLS immediately. And this was really, really crucial because it gets rid of the Magician on Amma's side of the field, which would have been able to recycle either Pot or Duo. So very good situational awareness by Escalada here. Sometimes an early BLS is a very, very good BLS. I mean, Escalada is quite vulnerable to some snatch or creature swap plays now. But Amma, again, cannot muster any aggression here. just sets the back row. And there's a heavy storm by Escarota. And we don't see any cards chain. Mirror Force and Sakuretsu Armor get destroyed. And Escarota can just deal 3k damage with ease. Armor is now down to half. He's at 4k life. And we saw how quickly that range can vaporize in this matchup. Heavy Storm was now activated by Armor, getting rid of the Solemn by Escarota. And there's a normal sum of Dekuichi attacking into a Cyber Jar! The Cyber Jar can turn this duel upside down. Both players reveal their cards. We see Breaker, Break, Chaos Sock, Tite, and Snatch on Armor's side. And we see 3 monsters on Escarota's side, which are all set face down. Armor elects to summon his Breaker, of course. And he attacks into the Magician. Armor did not know where it was because Escarota used his right to shuffle his monsters, which he is allowed to do and which is a clever thing to do. Armor sets the back row while Escarota got back a powerful spell. I believe it was Heavy Storm. Yes, it was. And there it is. Gets rid of Rageki Break, which is obviously chained here, targeting one of the 3 monsters, which was the Z, if I see it correctly. And then Dekuichi gets flipped, and it brings Escarota a pot of greed. And just like that, he again seems to have the advantage here. One Cyber Jar is all you need to turn an uphill battle upside down here. You don't care about your opponent opening 2 Trinity pieces if you just can flip your jar. This is really, really strong here. And now Armor is forced to look down at 4 back rows on Escarota's side of the field. How can he battle with that? He tries to do it with a Chaos Monster on his own, and there is a Chaos Sorcerer, banishing the Dekuichi on Escarota's side of the field. And now finally, like the first time in this whole match, he has the upper hand on the field, and Breaker can break down some of Escarota's life points, who is now down to 6,400. 3 back rows following suit. Now, even 4 back rows by Armor. But we are not entering Escarota's turn just yet. He wants to do something in his end phase, and that's calling back the Black Luster Soldier. It was probably special summoned, so you're allowed to bring it back from the grave. And now Armor has to deal with it once again. And that's certainly nothing you want to do here. Escarota just goes into the battle phase. Armor surely has to have a battle trap face down. No, he doesn't. It's just successful. Escarota clears away Breaker and Chaos Sock and getting rid of 1,400 life points in the process. Armor is now in ring range and in the range of pretty much everything Escarota's deck can do here. But there is the creature swap from Armor. He sets the monster, wants to have that BLS, but Escarota once again has Spell Shield type B in a really crucial spot, discards a spell here and gets rid of creature swap. This card really working overtime in this match. And now Escarota doesn't have to fear battle tap. Attacks over the Spy of Armor, destroys the first one, and yeah, the second attack of BLS gets rid of the second one as well. And Armor, yeah, again is with his back against the wall, against the machine deck of Escarota. He just can't get to, he just can't get the threats of Escarota off the table here. Escarota also has a set monster. And Armor now is sitting with 3 back rows, some cards in hand, but again, no offensive play. Mystical Space Typhoon is trying to get rid of something which bothers him, and it's successful. The back row of Escarota gets destroyed, and there is Snatch Steal, but Solemn Judgment says, no, I don't want you to get BLS. Armor is trying his hardest to get the BLS of Escarota, but Escarota isn't letting him. He attacks with BLS, and yeah, Armor again, no response, and that's just it. Escarota wins round 1 of the GOAT local here in Osnabrück, and we will see each other, with the live stream of the GOAT Grand Prix in a second. This is round 2 of a pre-recorded local tournament in Osnabrück we prepared for you to watch while the stream of the GOAT Grand Prix Osnabrück is on a small break. We have Schmerling on the right, who is a very influential person who's actually head judge today at the GOAT Grand Prix, facing off Ali Moto, who is the runner-up of the last year of GOAT Grand Prix Osnabrück, so he definitely knows a thing or two about playing GOAT format. Ali Moto on the left, starting us off with a set monster, following it up with a set card. Ali Moto today is playing Panda Burn. He's usually known for playing Chaos Turbo, but at local level he switches decks frequently to just not get burned out by always playing the same deck because he's playing weekly there. This is understandable. Schmerling on the right, opening up with Pot of Greed, is playing Chaos Turbo today and has a Nobleman for Ali's set monster, which was a Panda. So now Schmerlin does know what he is facing in this round. He now has to select which level of aggression he wants to play, and he selects none. He only sets a monster there. This could be a powerful flip to maybe recycle Pot of Greed, or even Nobleman here, maybe get a draw, or it's a spy. And we do see Nightmare Wheel activated by Alimu to instant buy phase, triggering right away and dealing 500 damage to Schmerlin. And playing Burn, every bit of damage can matter a lot here. So very important to take that damage with you if you can. And also Schmerlin's monster is now locked down. He can't flip it face up if he doesn't get rid of that Nightmare Wheel. Alimuto sets another monster face down and the spell trap, and now play is back to Schmerlin once again. Set Panda could be a tell that he wanted to get a more powerful monster through, maybe like a jar or another flip. But first, Schmerlin activates an Upstart Goblin, giving Ali some life points. And there's the second one, granting another 1k life points to Alimuto, who now is on 10,000 life points, sitting pretty, and has a lot of time to wait for his burn and or stall cards to lock down Schmerlin. We have a second Nightmare Wheel, which is activated here on the second set monster by Schmerlin. Now Schmerlin takes 1,000 damage in Ali's standby phase, and also his two monsters are unable to being flipped up. That's very, very good. Ali sets another monster, another back row face down. And that's why Burn is as powerful as it is in game one. You don't play much spell trap removal in basically any deck. So if Burn is able to lock you down, you have a very hard time. Secret Barrel gets activated in the standby phase. Ali wants to deal as much damage as possible before Schmerlin commits some cards to the board. Personally, I'm not a fan of flipping burn cards without a good reason, but Ali deals a lot of damage here, dropping Schmerlin down to 4,900 life points. And there's a heavy storm by Schmerlin, so Barrel would have been activated anyway now. And Alimuto chains Desert Sunlight. This would flip his monster's face up, and one of it is a Mask of Darkness, and that explains while Ali was flipping his Secret Barrel early because he wanted to get it back with Mask of Darkness. Definitely a good play. And telegraphing a storm. This was very smartly played by Alimuto. Schmerlin now gets to flip his monsters because the Nightmare Wheels are gone. One is the spy getting a brother out of his deck. Or a sister. We don't know. We don't know the gender of spies. And Dekuichi gets flipped to get Schmerlin another card, and now Schmerlin can apply some pressure. And Ali is only on the Secret Barrel in hand and another card, so not much resources here. Schmerlin still had a normal summon, so he uses it to summon a Breaker, and now he can get rid of the monsters on Ali's side of the field. Breaker is enough to attack over the Panda. One Spy gets rid of Mask of Darkness, and Dekuichi and Spy attack directly, dropping Alimuto down to 7,400 life points. Kind of fortunate for Alimuto that Schmerlin had two upstarts early, so he has quite some time to find a bit more damage here. We see him setting two cards and passing play to Schmerlin. You can now use Breaker's Token to destroy a set card. But chances are very high that Ali didn't set any cards which are not chainable, because he predicts Schmerlin to pop the token. So it's kind of a mind game, and Schmerlin elects to just attack with Breaker here. And now Alimuto is left thinking whether he wants to respond to that, whether he has a response. If you have a Gravity Bind here, it's a very interesting spot, because you kind of don't want to take damage by Breaker, but if you reveal it, you give your opponent the opportunity to just take it away in main phase 2. And Ali elects to let all the attacks go through, dropping down to 1,700 life points. And he basically only has one turn left. Schmerlin now can choose if he wants to pop a back row in main 2. I mean, you kind of don't need to right now, and he just discards a Thunder Dragon, adding 2 Thunder Dragons to his deck. And now he follows it up with Graceful Charity. I don't know if attacking before you are gracing makes much sense, because you could maybe find a Chaos for a game shot here, because Alimuto is now as low as he is, so one Chaos more would have been enough. And we see a Night is silent and the Thunder Dragon gets discarded, which brings Schmerlin to light dark. Yeah, he needed that dark in the graveyard, so that's why he didn't discard his third Thunder Dragon as well. And now he is thinking, and he is discarding the other Thunder Dragon, which is a smart play because he knows that Alimuto has Secret Barrel face down, and that's a way to reduce the damage you take from Secret Barrel by 200. And looking at Schmerlin's life point range, this could be the 200 life points which matter. And we see Delinquent Duo being activated in main phase 2, dropping Schmerlin to 3,900 life points, which is kind of risky here, honestly. I don't know if the card in Ali's hand is worth the 1,000 life points. Schmerlin figured it is. I don't know if I would have activated Duo in that spot, and let's see if it pays off or not. Ali chains Secret Barrel, dropping Schmerlin down to 2,100 life points. He has 4 monsters on mod, so Desserts is not quite enough here. And Ali sets another back row. Does he find enough damage to win here? Schmerlin can still try to pop the new back row, which he does, and we see a Secret Barrel. This was the top deck. What was the old card? Secret Barrel alone is not enough. It's quite a bit of damage, but not enough to wipe out Schmerlin. And he drops down to 300 life points, so Alimuto needs a second burn card. Otherwise, it's over. And he has the second burn card. It is just Desserts, which was sitting there, dealing the final points of damage to Schmerlin. This one went down to the wire. Ali found a burn card just in the nick of time and was able to clean out game number 1. Schmerlin starts off game number 2 with an Upstart Goblin, once again giving Alimuto some valuable life points. And the 2 upstarts Schmerlin had to use earlier in game 1 did make all the difference, actually, because they gave Alimuto 2,000 life points, and he was down on 1-7 at 1 point. It's like also kind of a luck-dependent thing with upstarts. You obviously have to play them in Chaos Turbo, but you never really want to draw them. Heavy Storm is being activated by Alimuto, and Schmerlin has at least one chainable card, which is a Jar of Greed. And Sakuritsu Rüstung goes down here as well. We now see a T set by Alimuto. Set Spell Trap, set Monster in the pass is back to Schmerlin, who gets to flip Dekuichi to get another card here. He can maybe put himself in a position which is a bit more comfortable than in game 1, and he gets rid of the monster from Alimuto with Nobleman. We unfortunately couldn't see which one it was. It definitely wasn't a flip. Otherwise, both players would be searching their decks right now. And Dekuichi can deal first blood here, can reduce Ali's life points by 1-4. Ali now enters his turn and has to find something to fight back. And he tries to do it with a breaker, which is summoned, and Schmerlin responds with Raigeki Break. You don't really want to lose Raigeki Break early in this matchup because it's such a valuable card against Burn. It's a really, really good card in this matchup. And wasting it on a breaker is maybe not the best decision, but there was a 50-50 chance breaker would hit it anyway, and Schmerlin probably figured that this other back row was very valuable and also probably is not chainable. Dekuichi attacks for 1-4 here. And Alimuto has now a set monster and is now passing back after setting another backer card. Play is back to Schmerlin here, who now definitely still wants to have an out against the set monster. This could be a jar. We saw a non-flip being set at turn 1. This could have been a bait for a nobleman to get the jar through. And Merlin plays around the morphing jar, setting a monster, but it's not the morphing jar, it's a cyber jar! And now the whole duel can be turned upside down. We see 3 monsters being revealed by Alimuto and 5 for Schmerlin, but only 3 of them can be special summoned here because Tsukuyomi cannot be special summoned and Thunder Dragon is above level 4. Alimuto now sets his 3 summoned monsters. These were 2 pandas and I believe a rat. And Schmerlin sets a lot of monsters here as well. Flipping a jar is absolutely huge for Panda Burn in this, in most scenarios, almost an auto win because you get so much resources which you can use up for burn damage. Schmerlin once again cycles through his Thunder Dragons. Yeah, searches 1, discards 1, searches the last one out of the deck to play around Secret Barrel, which is a smart thing to do here. That's a 4th back row card. And yeah, no, both fields are full. And Alimuto has Ceasefire in the end phase. We do know that 6 monsters with effect monsters are on the field, so this is a lot of damage. You could have maybe waited a bit longer, but Ali figured now is the time to flip it, or maybe also to see where Schmerlin's monsters are. And he deals 3k damage, dropping Schmerlin to only 5,000 life points. Both Pandas are now on 2,300 attack points, which you can use, for huge attacks. We see the flip summon, we see the attack position change of one Panda. Ali doesn't want to commit into a Mirror Force, so he is only changing one. And now you probably try to attack over the Night Assailant because you can also attack over Magician because it has less defense points and Schmerlin has Light Dark and Graphite anyway. But Sakuretsu Rüstung foils that plan nonetheless. So this is one Panda down. Ali sets 2 more back row cards, contemplates about setting a monster, and is now checking Schmerlin's grave again, if that's a good idea or if it's not a good idea. He's thinking about it. It's not an easy spot. The more cards you have, the more resources you got access to, the more difficult the decision is. And he decides to switch his second Panda also to attack, which is smart because it's on 2-3, which is way harder to overcome than the 1,600 points of defense. Ring of Destruction gets activated right away in Schmerlin's draw phase, and that is obviously telegraphing Ojama Trio here. Ali wants to lock down Schmerlin's Feld for good, but first he needs to get rid of one monster. Schmerlin contemplates if he has an answer, and he doesn't. And now we have a very interesting spot, because now Zangan triggers, and now Ali Muto could chain Ojama Trio to Zangan's effect to play around Torrential Tribute, because if he would have done that, then Ojama Trio would be chaining 2, tokens would be summoned, the chain would still need to resolve, and Schmerlin couldn't respond with Torrential, but he didn't. He did it on resolve of Zangan, and there you obviously can Torrential Tribute. So maybe the inexperience with Burn did pay some dividends here, because Ali Muto is not used to play Burn, and if you were a Burn player, you probably know the interaction. You didn't thought about that right away, so Schmerlin is able to clear his field once more, but Ali Muto can deal a lot of damage in the process, flipping Secret Barrel. And Schmerlin takes a lot of damage and also takes the damage from the Ojama token. So he's dropping down to only 500 life points. That's definitely a range you don't want to be in against against Panda Burn here, even with Chaos Turbo, which can deal a lot of damage. But yeah, Ali Muto is now left on 5,200 damage. He also took the 1,000 from Zangan. That's really important here to keep in mind. And now Schmerlin thinks about what he wants to discard, and he discards a Serpent and the remaining Thunder Dragon in his hand. Big question is now, can Schmerlin put some pressure on the board? He kind of needs to. He needs to deal damage here. He's only on 500 life points. You can't afford to stay on 500 life points for long in that matchup. Pot of Greed is a good way to find something here. Even a Vok could be crucial, saving yourself from a blowout. We haven't seen Vok being played yet by Schmerlin, but we need to assume that it is in his deck somewhere. And now we see Chaos being summoned, and not one, but 2 Chaos monsters, 2 Thunder Dragons, Zangan and Night Assailant, leave the graveyard on their way to the banish pile, making the path free, I want to say, for BLS and Chaos Hawk. And these 2 monsters have 5,300 points combined attack power. Ali Muto has only 5,200 life points. Again, the damage he took from Ring is crucial here. And Schmerlin will now be able to attack for game. He's just, calculating once again if he missed something. Ali Muto could still have Kuribo in hand, but this is very, very unlikely. So we will see this game to complete now, because there the attacks go down, and Ali Muto goes down to 0 life points, giving Schmerlin the win in game number 2. We jump right into game 3. Ali gets to go first, which can be the advantage, which can make a difference here. He sets a monster and no back row, just that soul monster passing back to Schmerlin, who now definitely wants to find an answer against this set monster. It could be a Jar, could be also a Koala, which Ali is playing, or something else like a rat, which you want to get rid of. Schmerlin is starting with Thunder Dragon and following up with an upstart Goblin. Let's see if he decides to keep Thunder Dragons in hand now, or if he decides to discard them, like he did in games 1 and 2. There are pros and cons to that. Sometimes Thunder Dragon in hand can be very useful in that matchup, to, for example, get rid of a dark monster on your field to get it into the graveyard, which you can need for chaos. But also reducing your hand size is obviously good against Secret Barrel. So let's see what Schmerlin opts to do here. And he discards both in main phase 2. And I think you should have kept at least one exactly for the possibility to, get a dark in your grave, which can be important. Alimuto figures the set monster has to be something valuable here. And Mind Controls. Interesting card, which you can set in Panda Burn. I do it from time to time. It really can catch your opponent off guard. And it's a Magician. And that gets back that Mind Control. So now Schmerlin has to play around that as well and doesn't get another draw with Upstart Goblin. Magician wouldn't have been that much of a blowout, but one extra draw can be all you need to deal some pressure or find some answers against the cards they are really annoying for you in a burn deck. Alimuto doesn't want to apply any more pressure, just sets a back row and ends his turn, so his face down monster is probably not a jar. Otherwise, he would have been able to use it, and I'm pretty sure he would have enabled it. Doesn't matter if it's Morphing Jar or Cyber Jar, it's just too valuable to not flip here. Magician gets turned to defense position. Obviously, you don't want to take any attack damage over it. Taking battle damage is something you definitely want to avoid against a burn. Because, it's... Burn deals damage with cards. They have to minus with that card. Like, they lose card advantage to deal burn damage. And if they can deal battle damage pretty much for free, that's a very, very huge thing for them. Because, they contribute to their main strategy without losing any cards. So, battle damage can make all the difference. Especially in games 2 and 3, where the opponents of Panda Burn do play Mystic Vox, which are very annoying to deal with. Blitz of Serpent gets normal summoned, and Torrential Tribute is the response from Schmerlin, getting rid of Gardener and Giant Rat on Ali's side of the field. This was a strong combo, definitely. And now Ali, lost his defense, but Schmerlin can't follow up with anything. Again, there's no dark in Schmerlin's graveyard just yet, which is kind of unfortunate. And Alimuto is now left to think what he wants to do. But he only passes. Schmerlin adds back Serpent in his turn, which you can also think about because it's also extra burn damage with Secret Barrel. You maybe want to avoid. But if you have bot in hand, you definitely should take it because you could draw into Graceful Charity and then you would have that as discard fodder. Maybe Schmerlin has a Rageki Break to also use it. So there could be plenty of reasons to add it back, but it's definitely something to think about. It's not just as simple as you always take Serpent against Burn. There are some scenarios where you don't want to do that. And Ali, for the second turn in a row, does nothing. He feels very comfortable. He has time. His deck gets better over time. He just, is looking for some burn cards. And he doesn't look very pleased with withdrawals here, so maybe he can't really do much. It's not the question of if he wants to do a lot of things, but if he can do a lot of things. And right now, it's not looking that good, to be honest. But Schmerlin also doesn't apply a lot of pressure, and we see the Mind Control. So obviously Schmerlin knows that it's there, and he has Serpent in hand. But Ali figured that Schmerlin knows that Ali knows that this should be a Serpent, so he sets a flip instead. And Ali was correct there, winning the mind games. This was a he knows that I know that he knows that I know kind of situation, which Ali actually also verbally explained to Schmerlin before he activated Mind Control, and he was spot on. Great read by Alimuto. That's the reason he's one of the best in real-life God players I personally know, because he makes these kind of reads, which are very hard to do. But Ali and Schmerlin know each other really, really well, so I believe this was easier against him than against any other player. Ali gets a free draw for that, but again, doesn't have any follow-up. And there's the Graceful Charity of Schmerlin, and you can see the frustration of Ali. He's the kind of player who can get into his own head, especially if the cards are not coming his way, and opponents start to find some good cards. But let's see if this will be a factor, or if he can stay cool here, keep his calm, and find a way to victory. Despite Schmerlin finding some good cards here. Liquidity tries to attack, but Ali has Gravity Bind, giving him protection from the attack, and Delinquent Duo is fired in main phase 2. Now definitely the right decision. Schmerlin has plenty of life points and has the opportunity to strip Ali of 2 resources, which would deal more damage on his own anyway. And he does hit Sort of revealing light here, which is a good hit. This could have slowed down Schmerlin for a long time. And a second card gets discarded, which we unfortunately don't get to see here. Set down monster by Schmerlin, and Nightmare Wheel gets activated on that. Alimuto does not want to get it being flipped, and also he did some damage. I think it's very interesting to keep Nightmare Wheels in your deck against Chaos Turbo. That's also a reason why you don't want to discard Thunder Dragons every time, because Thunder Dragon now would be an opportunity to tribute that monster away to basically destroy Nightmare Wheels. So I think the biggest mistake Schmerlin made so far in this match was discarding both Thunder Dragons in turn 1. It sounds like a reasonable play, but it sometimes can backfire, and it seems to do that here. Ali now with 4 back rows on his side. He true-nated the whole field away, wanted to recycle his traps, sets the 5th one as well, and play is back once again to Schmerlin, and we do see Ojama Trio being activated by Alimuto here. And now Schmerlin is in a tough spot. He does that Serpent back. I don't know what exactly he wants to do with that. If he doesn't have a plan to use it, it's maybe also, not the correct play here, because you want to reduce barrel damage. And Alimuto also flips Nightmare Wheel to block the set monster from Schmerlin once again. And he also has to upstarts once again. Ali back to 10,000 life points like he was in game 1. And this helped him a lot by surviving long enough to win that battle. Dikuichi tries to attack, and Alimuto does not respond with a back row, so he did not set Gravity Bind. Maybe he didn't want to risk a potential Heavy Storm by Schmerlin and wanted to save his Gravity Bind in his hand, or he has just more valuable cards to set here. We will see probably in the future why this play made sense. Another 500 life points will be dealt to Schmerlin in Ali's standby phase thanks to his Nightmare Wheel. We see a set card and a set monster, and play is once again back to Schmerlin, who now is in a pretty bad position. He has a locked field, he has no Dark Engrave. If he doesn't have a walk, he does not have any possibility to clear his field. And we see Desert Sunlight by Alimuto. He wants to desperately flip up his face down monster here. And Schmerlin chains Regeki Break. And now Ali, I cutted it away, but he was thinking for 2 minutes before he activated Solemn Judgment. It was a very risky Solemn here, and he thought long and hard about it. And he wanted to protect his Koala here. It wasn't a jar, it was just a Koala. But Schmerlin has 5 cards in hand, losing 2,000 life points here in the process. And that many life points were worth it for Alimuto to, commit his Solemn Judgment here. Now he lost his out against a Mystic Vok. So maybe he figures Schmerlin doesn't have a Vok here. Schmerlin does Raigeki Break. He has a second one. Tries to target an Ojama token. He wants to get rid of it to, commit something to the field. But Alimuto chains Secret Bell. This is a lot of damage. This is over 2,000. Schmerlin still has 4 cards in hand. And there's a second Secret Bell. If Schmerlin has no Wok in hand, this is it. This would be game over. And that's it. Ali is celebrating. This was a very, very close one. The gamble with Solemn Judgment paid off big time for Alimuto. Again, I think Schmerlin's biggest mistake was discarding the 2 Thunder Rings as early as he did. But Ali played that to perfection. Very smart burn gameplay. And Alimuto is moving on undefeated into round number 3. Thank you for watching, and the live stream will resume shortly. Round 2 of Goat Local in Osnabrück. This is a pre-recorded feature match which I recorded 2 weeks ago to give you guys some action in between rounds of the live stream of Goat Grand Prix Osnabrück. We have Dennis Hackmann on the left against Justus on the right. Dennis is quite active online recently, grinding the ladder, and we also had him on the feature match at Goat Grand Prix Halle. And he opens up with a Duo and Thunder Dragon ripping Grace and Mirror Force from the hand of Justus. Very, very strong hits here, and Justus is on the back foot right from the get-go. Dennis follows this up with a set monster and passes right back to Justus, who now contemplates what he wants to do, what he can do with his remaining 4 cards. Once again, 2 got stripped out of his hand by Duo, including that very, very valuable Graceful, which you definitely want to keep. But Reinforcement of the Army stayed there and is getting him a Blade Knight. And Blatant is a great threat for the set monster of Dennis. 2 backrow cards follow, and Blatant attacks into a Gravekeeper Spy. That's the one monster Justus didn't want to see, because Blade Knight obviously can't negate it, because he can't destroy it by a battle. And Dennis top decks into Pot of Greed, second Trinity piece, following the very strong opening from Dennis, and there is the Heavy Storm. And now Justus is in the tank, deciding if he wants to negate it with Solemn, and he decides that he has to negate it with Solemn. He doesn't want to lose half his life points that early, but he has no choice, really. Justus down to 4,000 life points, and Dennis gets rid of a very powerful card. And now he has to think about what he wants to do. We see that Space Typhoon in his hand. Does he want to get rid of the last backrow? Yes, he does. And he snipes away an MST from Justus. And he has Tribe in hand. And that's it. That's exactly 4,000 damage. That's an OTK in gold format. This is something you really rarely see. But yeah, you can OTK your opponent. Even with a Chaos Turbo, which is Dennis playing, if your opponent helps you out with Solemn Judgment. That was, yeah, you can say this was a sack. This is our word for it here in the community, and now Justus definitely want to sack right back, and he starts off with a Pot of Greed, following up with his copy of Grace, which this time wasn't stripped out of his hand by Duo. So Justus is thinking, what Dennis does, I can do as well, and he discards a Jar of Greed together with Smashing Ground. Justus here is on kind of a warrior deck, but he has a special surprise in it, I can promise you that. But let's see what it will be. Firstly, we see a normal summon. Justus is contemplating whether he wants to do it and decides against it, selects another monster. That's a Sasuke. Also a typical warrior monster. That's not the spies I was talking about, but yeah. I just let you hanging there for a minute. You will see. It will be something really cool. Dennis now enters his turn, and he gets Trapped Dust Shoot. Very, very strong opening by Justus. And we see Tsukuyomi, Serpent, Zombira, Night Assailant, Chaos Hawk, and Thunder Dragon in the hand of Dennis. And Justus elects to get rid of the Thunder Dragon, which was the only light in Dennis's hand, which is really clogged with monsters, but isn't that bad, to be honest, in that matchup. There are a lot of cards which were really good against Warrior, like Zombira, Tsukuyomi. You also have the Night Assailant, so that's something you can work with if you're Dennis. And we see the normal summon of Zombira attacking over Sasuke, and Justus has no response to that. Gets some damage in, and Zombira drops down to 1,900 attack points. You saw the hand sign. Play is back to Justus, who looks at his hand, sets a mysterious spell and trap, and passes right back to Dennis. Dennis can't really apply pressure with Zombira because it can't attack directly. This is the huge downside of the card. But he can top deck another Pot of Greed, and you saw it on the left corner. Pot of Greed once again got him. Yeah, he's contemplating it, but it will go down. The Heavy Storm. And now Justus is fuming. He's like, this can't be happening again. He loses Dust Tornado and Sakuretsu Armor. And you see the way he's throwing them into the grave. He's not pleased, but yeah, how could you really? Dennis follows it up with a set back row and a set monster. As I said, he can't attack directly. So Justus, even though he lost a lot of cards, is still very comfortable with a lot of life points and a lot of time. And he has a Zombira of his own. Tries to attack over the Zombira of Dennis, but he says nope. Sakuretsu Armor is foiling that plan. The set monster is most likely a Night Assailant there. Could also be the Sinister Serpent that Dennis maybe sets there, but firstly, he is activating Upstart Goblin, giving Justus some life points, giving him an even more comfortable position. But then we see Grace immediately after that. Dennis, yeah, cycled through Pot and Grace this time. Justus lost all the advantage he really had. And Dennis got rid of Night Assailant and Chaos Hawk, so there's probably no Night Assailant sitting face down there. So this has to be the Serpent. And now Dennis is discarding a Thunder Dragon. He could not tribute his Serpent for Thunder Dragon to apply some pressure, but he does it with a Breaker instead. Gets some sweet 1,900 points of damage in, dropping Justus to 6-8, who now enters his turn. And Breaker is a very annoying card to face because you can't really set anything which is not channel. Breaker can just pop it. And if you can out it, yeah, you're just sitting there and, yeah, with not much options left. He only sets a monster, and Dennis sets another back row and is now thinking about what to do, and he summons a Chaos Hawk. This is the second one. One is already in the graveyard, got discarded by Grace. So he's very aggressive with it, attacks with Zombira, and that was only a level 2, which wasn't much use for Justus here, and now Breaker and Chaos Hawk can deal massive damage to Justus's life point, who is now left with 2-6. And then Dennis discards the Thunder Ring out of his hand. I don't really know why. I think you could have tributed Serpent for it. You could have just kept it there. I don't really get the reasoning, to be honest. But now Justus is in action, benches Light, Dark, and drops a BLS of his own. That BLS is very, very strong. And now, do you risk the attack against the back row? And Justus says, nope, I'm just banishing the Chaos Hawk, which is definitely the reasonable play, getting rid of a huge threat on Dennis' side of the field. You now know for sure that there's a Serpent face down. You do also know that Dennis has one Thunder Dragon left in hand. So Justus almost has perfect information here, and he uses that to set not 1, not 2, but 3 back row cards. So there's probably another Solemn there, but maybe it isn't, because Dennis, already burned through his Heavy Storm. So Justus is free to set as many cards as he wants. But yeah, there's still that Breaker. You can break down one of the spell traps, but Justus has an answer, and there is the spicy card I was talking about. Justus is playing a Skill Drain Warrior build and can now negate that Breaker. This does also nerf himself in that very specific spot, because now Black Luster Soldier doesn't have an effect anymore. At least he can't use it, because Skill Drain negates it. So the back row card had to be very valuable for Justus. And now Dennis elects to tribute his Serpent for another, for a set monster, which is obviously the Thunder Dragon, and the last remaining Thunder Dragon I have to add. The other 2s are already in the grave. And that is everything Dennis does in his turn, right before passing back to Justus, who now is in kind of a dilemma, because he can't use BLS's effect to banish anymore. He needs to attack now, and thus risking to run into a battle trap. And the big question is, does Justus want to risk it here? And no, he just passes back, leaves his Black Luster Soldier in attack position, and gives Dennis some time to find something. And Justus is in ring range, and that is indeed very scary. Justus has the board control back, while Dennis is only left setting a monster. He can't really do much more. Justus is in a good position here, unless Dennis finds ring. And this has to be in Justus's mind. He can't allow himself to play too passive here to not get blowouted by ring. And that's why he elects to normal summon Blade Knight. And now we see the Torrential Tribute by Dennis, which gets negated immediately by Justus's Solemn Judgment. He drops down to 800 life points, but that is another ring out gone. So ring very threatening right now, but yeah, you have to Torrential in that position. BLS wants to attack the Zombira, which is obviously fine, and Blade Knight attacks over the set Thunder Dragon, which is already public knowledge. So Breaker and the mysterious set monster is left on Dennis's side of the field, who now draws into another card and thinks about what to do here. And he now banishes Light and Dark. This has to the BLS, but no, it's a third Chaos Sorcerer. I have not seen Chaos Sorcerer play 3 Chaos Sorcerer for a long, long time, but the third didn't get the payoff, because Justus can protect his life points with Sakuretsu armor. He would have lived, but Dennis could have gotten rid of the Blade Knight on Justus' board, which is only on 1/6, because obviously it gets negated by Skill Drain. We can't forget about that. Dennis now has 2 back row cards. And now the question is, how aggressive does Justus want to play that? And he flips reinforcement of the army here, getting himself Goblin Attack Force, which is obviously a very, very good under Skill Drain, because its effect is negated. In this case, that is a very, very good thing. Nobleman gets flipped and getting rid of that Sangan on Dennis' side, and now Justus can be the aggressor. Attacks with Blade Knight. He puts his BLS to death to play around that Mirror Force, which is a sound play, because that is still left in Dennis' deck. And now Goblin Attack Force tries to attack directly, tries to deal first blood to Dennis, but no! Dennis has something against that, flips at Sakuretsu armor, keeps his life points safe, and still, Justus is in an amazing spot here. Only thing you're really worried about if you're Justus is Ring of Destruction. Like, there's nothing else which Dennis can find here. He does finally add back Serpent. He forgot it for a few turns there, but now he finds it again to set it as a protection and now passes to Justus. How aggressive do you want to play this if you are in Justus' shoes is a big question here. Do you want to extend into the Mirror Force to reduce the possibility of your opponent to find Ring? And Justus just attacks with Blade Knight, sets a card, passes back to Dennis, who now thinks about something in the end phase. Could it be? There it is! There's the Ring of Destruction. Does Justus have a Solemn or book? No, he has not. And Dennis snatched that victory from the jaws of defeat. That was a close one. Justus was in command of that second game, but Ring of Destruction is a card you have to always respect. Justus wasn't able to save his Solemn for it, and that's why he lost this one. And Dennis is moving on with an undefeated record here in Osnabrück. Welcome to round 4 of the pre-recorded Goat Local in Osnabrück, which we are showing to you this day between breaks of the live stream of the Goat Group Osnabrück, so that you have exciting gameplay to watch while we are on the break and waiting for the whole venue to finish. We are in round number 4. On the left side, we have Alimoto, who we had already in the second round. He's a runner-up of Gold Complete Osnabrück last year. And on the right, we have Dutch, who's a very important person because he helped a lot with organizing both Gold Complete and Osnabrück, and also is a very important person for the Gold local scene. So shoutouts to Dutch for all the work he's doing. Alimoto obviously is still on Panda Burn, and Dutch is playing Chaos Return. Two exciting decks here. Both players are undefeated and still are fighting for the title here. Dutch is opening us up with a T-set. 1 monster and 1 spell trap is all he needs. All he wants, all he can commit to the field. One of those options will be the true one for sure. Ali is now entering his turn. We saw him beat the Chaos Turbo of Schmerlin earlier on the stream, and he did so with a convincing victory in Game 3. Let's see if he can do something, impressive as he did in Run 2 here. He sets 1 monster and 4 back rows to the field. That's an impressive start. Dutch obviously knows at that point that Ali is playing Burn, so he wasn't really catched off guard by it. But the question is, does he have a strategy? We don't see a Nightmare Weave being flipped by Alimoto. We know that he's playing those. So if Dutch has a Magician face down there, he could recycle a Spot of Greed, which would be huge, obviously, to get some much-needed resources to fight back against Burn in Game 1. We do see the main deck Zombira. This is very unusual here. Even for Chaos Return, you don't do that often. This suggests definitely a small Warrior Engine with Rhoda. And we do see the flip of a Gravekeeper Spy. If Alimoto has Ojamachu, he could chain it here to block Dutch's field. So it's a risky move from Dutch, no doubt, because if Alimoto can now lock down Dutch's field, this is a position you definitely don't want to be in against Panda Burn. But Ali is, he looks a bit through his back row and he can't find the Ojama Trio. It is not there. So Dutch can try to apply some pressure, but he does summon a Spy in defense. I think in Game 1 against Burn, you don't really have to play around Mirror Force. You shouldn't play around Mirror Force, if I'm completely honest. You should just go for it here. You want to deal as much damage as possible. And also, if your opponent Mirror Force you don't really mind. You lose a lot of bodies on the field, which would transfer to Burn damage anyway. And now Dutch is playing around that Morphing Jar, setting 4 back rows to the field. Let's see if he gets rewarded for that. If we actually see the Morphing Jar, it's very likely. Ali committed that many cards to the field here. And we do see the Morphing Jar. So very smartly played by Dutch here. He loses his Blade Knight in the progress. And Ali, interestingly, discards a Big Shield Gardener. Very unusual to not set Gardener first if you have a jar in hand. He had to have like a really good read on Dutch that he didn't hold on Nobleman. Or maybe it was just a feeling. But generally, you always bait out the Nobleman before you commit into a jar. But it went well here for Alimoto. He gets off a jar. And we do see the Nightmare Wheel by Ali. He didn't flip it in the standby phase. He wasn't too worried about the flip on Dutch's field. And now he gets to block the Gravekeeper Spy, which is not able to deal any damage here. Dutch flips one of his set cards, which was a reinforcement of the army. This confirms that his return definitely has a small warrior package, and he gets a DD Warrior Lady from it. There are basically two ways you can play Chaos Return. One is with this warrior package, and one is with Shining Angel, and Dutch elected for the first one of that. And now I still think not putting the second spy in attack was a mistake here. He could have tried to attack with it for much needed damage. But yeah, he figured keeping it in defense is correct here. And now it's the question, who found a better card with Morphing Jar here? Generally, the burn player is in a huge spot, in a really favored spot if he gets off a jar. Yeah, getting that many resources. But Dutch also got a lot of resources by it. Which basically also is good for burn, because more resources for your opponent means more burn damage you can apply to them. But for that, you have to find burn cards. And we are yet to find out if Ali Motu did do that, or if he didn't. Dutch set a 5th back row card and now wants to pass play back to Ali Motu, who is thinking long and hard whether he wants to do something about that, anything in the end phase. There are plenty cards you maybe want to activate in the end phase. Also because Dutch set all his cards in this turn. So they are, yeah, basically unable to... He's unable to respond with something like a Solemn Judgment or stuff. But Ali figures he wants to keep his cards for his turn at least. Enters that turn, and Nightmare Wheel is dealing first blood in this game and match, dropping Dutch down to 7,500 life points. And Dutch finds a Trap Dust Shoot, which is normally not that good of a card against Burn, but if Burn just got off a Morphing Jar, it's great. And now we see Ali's hand. We see Giant Red, Desla Coda, actually. Interesting tech in the main. Mask of Darkness, Desquala, Giant Trunade, and Pre-Major Burial. Dutch is now faced with the decision what he wants to shuffle back out of these 4 cards. And they are all kind of dangerous. I think the Lakota is the most harmless one here. And we do get rid of the Koala, which makes sense, because Koala can deal a lot of damage if Dutch doesn't find a Nobleman or any other out against it. And you don't really want to deal with that. So now Ali can do a big Trunade play here, and he is trying just that. With red in hand, you can do some very, very nice stuff here. Let's see if Dutch wants to respond to that. And he's certainly thinking about it. There are a few cards you could chain here. And he does find a Book of Moon, which he flips targeting his spy, which would enable him to use Spy's effect again. And also putting him out of harm's way for some of Ali Mutu's monster. Book is definitely going through here. And Trunade is returning everything to Ali's and Dutch's hand. Now Ali was thinking for a bit before deciding to summoning his Giant Red, which is amazing here. You can crash it into Zombira, and you can keep crashing it, lowering Zombira's attack and filling your deck, and Ali Mutu is crashing the first red. Zombira is dropping down to 1,700 life points. Ali Mutu obviously also losing some life in the process, but that's not big of a deal. And now Ali elects again cycling through his deck, and I think that was a mistake, because we saw him holding a lot of monsters in hand, so you don't really draw into a red. And if he would have kept attacking with reds out of his deck, he would also... he could have done it like 2 more times, dropping Zombira to 1 free life point, 1 free attack points, filling your deck out. I think there are not many downsides to doing that, but he only wanted to get 1 red in the grave. And now attacks the new spy with a Panda, because he kind of wants Dutch to have to keep having a big field here, to keep his Panda on 2,300 attack points, which he now just did. He deals a little bit of damage in the process, which you take. Like, every bit of damage you can take is valuable for you as a burn player. So Ali is certainly happy about that. And now all the back row cards can go face down once again before passing to Dutch, who then, yeah, tries to basically out the Panda and not get blown out by too many burn cards. This should be the strategy here, but Ali is still thinking about how much he wants to commit, but he elects that that was enough, and now it is Dutch's turn indeed. What can Dutch do here? Can he find a way through his Panda? This should be his first priority because Panda is very, very dangerous. I mean, Dutch is probably playing some battle traps. If he has them, it isn't that big of a deal. But we see a Chaos Monster. That's a very good way to deal with a Panda. And it's a BLS. It's partly off screen, but you can see it. It is the Black Luster Soldier. And we're also beginning. No, it's a bit closer to our viewing spot. Gets rid of the Panda. And now Dutch can deal a lot of pressure once again. We know that one back row card from Alimuto is Nightmare Wheel, most likely. He definitely has one in hand. And Dutch saw also all the remaining cards, so he has to be very certain about what to play around here. So he actually could have tried to attack with BLS, but this would have forced out Ali's Nightmare Wheel, so it was a smart play to not do that, because then Panda would have been too strong to get rid of the field. And now Dutch is fully committing. He saw no just desserts on Ali's side of the field, and now he can just go in there. Attacking with a Spy, which is successful. Alimuto is dropping down to 6-3. Second Spy is also successful, dropping Ali down to 5-1. And then Dekuichi attacks, but there is that Nightmare Wheel saying no to that. Ali down to 5,100 life points. Still has many resources in hand, but yeah, a lot of them are monsters. And monsters aren't really that good of cards right now, because Dutch has so many back row cards. We see 4 cards going face down. There have to be some battle traps under there. And also a 5th card. So full back row of 5th cards. Dutch now with a completely full board. 5 monsters, 5 spell or trap cards. You do rarely see that, but if you see it, you probably see it against Burn, especially after a Jar resolve, because yeah, you have a lot of resources then. And Dutch is using them to their fullest. And there is one dessert, so I stand corrected. One was there, but only one. This is dealing a lot of damage to Dutch, who's now dropping to 4-7 life points. But yeah, he knows that there are no more burn cards to be afraid of, at least just yet, until now. Like, Ali can draw into them at any time, so Dutch possibly also has like Solemn Judgments face down there, which you do play in the Chaos Return build. This could also be cards which could save him here. But let's see what Ali can find. Nightmare Wheel is activated, dealing damage to Dutch, who is now dropping down to 4,200 life points. He almost lost half his life already, and that's, yeah, definitely dangerous. And now Ali fills up his back row once again, and also setting a monster, passing to Dutch, who snipes one of the back rows, and that was a magic cylinder, and that was, and Ali was not happy about that snipe. You could tell it in his face. He was really frustrated by that card being sniped away. He definitely didn't want to lose the cylinder here. So possibly it was his only protection, but let's see. It definitely was a risky play to use his Dust Tornado the way Dutch did, because if Alimuto had set a Gravity Bind, yeah, together with the cards, he, would have Dutch would have been better off by keeping his Dust Tornado and chaining it to Gravity Bind. But otherwise, you definitely want to hit a burn card here. So there are pros and cons to that play, and Dutch decided that he wants to risk it to maybe hitting not a valuable card, just not to hit a chainable which can't be chained right now. I think you get where I'm coming from, even though my words maybe didn't make that much sense. I mean, yeah. English is not my first language, and I do think I speak it quite well, but sometimes I stumble over my own words. So I just hope you know what I wanted to tell you here. Dutch switches BLS into attack position. He probably knows what Alimuto has faced down here, that it is no threat, because he knows 2 monsters of Alimuto, and he only has 1 left in hand. So he can attack safely here, and this is a potential game shot on the board. BLS deals 3,000. The 2 spies deal 2-4. This is 5-4 damage, with only Alimuto being on 5-1 life. And BLS attack is successful. It was Mask of Darkness, which Dutch knew of. Just Desserts gets adding back, and then, yeah, BLS attacks. And it doesn't seem like Alimuto has any response at all. Attack goes through. Alimuto's dropping down to 2-1 life points, shaking his head. And now spy number 1. And spy number 2. And that's it. That's game 1 for Dutch. It's a very impressive feat to win against Burn with them having resolved Morphing Jar. So very strong game here by Dutch. Ali Muto now has to win 2 games in a row, and that can be hard to do for Burn, especially if your opponent has a good side deck against that matchup. But let's see. Only a T set for Ali Muto. We've seen that many times in this tournament, and we do see a Zangan from Dutch followed up by a Nobleman. There is no Big Shield Gardener, and Ali Muto probably only is on 1 Koala because he, doesn't access his deck. Maybe he botted 1 out and he main decks more, but at least now he only has access to 1. So, and obviously Dutch is not playing Koala in this deck, which would be wild, but he is not. Zangan attacks for 1k damage. This is not a lot, but it's a start to pressure the Burn player on the opponent's side of the field. Another set back row completes Dutch's turn. And now Ali, still has a lot of options. Still doesn't have to worry about much here. We see some good cards in his hand. A lot of cards, actually, which could help him stall against the Zangan. It's only a Zangan. It's only 1000 ATK. It's not that dangerous for you. But it's definitely worth a think how exactly you want to tackle that. And we do see a set monster. Risking the potential Nobleman here. And now Dutch is thinking whether he wants to do something. And he activates Dust Tornado, which is interesting timing here because Secret Barrel was already set there for a turn. So Ali Muto can just chain it. Deal 1000 damage to Dutch, who now also is down to 7k. And Dutch finds a level 2. Perfect answer for the set monster. And that was a giant rat. So maybe Ali should have normal summed it, but then Dutch would have been able to crash with Zangan into it, so it's understandable to set it there. 1 Nobleman was out. He didn't saw level 2 up to that point. But yeah, if you play a small warrior package in your Chaos Return, you have the ability, you have the access to go into even more of your warrior toolbox after game 1. And this can be very valuable, especially in this matchup. You can just go into level 2. And now Ali is forced to activate his giant Trunade, summoning a Mask of Darkness, crashing it into level 2. This was a very desperate play, but it was a correct one. The cards he was given here. So very unfortunate chain of events here for Ali Muto. And now Dutch's Zangan does what he does best, dealing damage to Ali Muto's life points. He already dealt 3k life just on his own. Very, very strong Zangan here. And now Ali Muto is able to clock Dutch's field, at least in the end phase. Dutch now on 5 monsters can't commit anymore to the field. The question is, is this enough? Can Ali Muto find some nice cards to work with that? He does find a mind control once again. Let's see what Dutch said there. Is it something valuable again, like it was in game 2? My excuses. If so, this would be huge. And it is a magician, and I think I switched up matches here. I think he activated mind control against Schmerlin, not against Dutch. I'm commentating these matches back to back, so if I'm confusing some of that, I'm excusing myself. So it was a giant Trunade as here. He hit a magician with it, like he did against Schmerlin. So mind control is really, really doing well in this tournament for him. But yeah, getting Trunade is nice and all, but it doesn't really help him progress his game plan. And now Dutch is locked, but he, still doesn't really have any pressure by Ali Muto, and he is able to snipe the Gravity Bind from Ali Muto in the end phase. He doesn't have a lot of damage on board, but he has some. He can use that to pressure him even more. Let's see if he attacks, but even better, he has a Zarborg. And this is a great card here. He can tribute his Magician, can pop one of his own Ojama tokens. He loses some life in the progress, but now he has a lot of pressure on the field. Ali Muto dropping down to 1,600 life points. He has to find something, and he has to find something now. If he isn't able to, Dutch will just win it on the spot. What is Ali Muto able to do here? He finds a Panda. That's a really good top deck. It's at 2-8 at the moment. Dutch sitting on 4 monsters, so you can attack over that Zarborg here, which he does, dropping Dutch down to 6,300 life points. Panda is now at 2-3, still plenty of attack, so maybe that's the comeback Ali needed. But we have the Heavy Storm from Dutch. It was a top deck, getting rid of Barrel, which is chained in Trunade. And Dutch also has Tribe, and that's just game over. He can get rid of the Panda, attacks with Zangan and Tribe directly, forcing Ali Muto to shuffle up and giving Dutch a convincing 2-0 victory. He is now going undefeated into the 5th and last round, so you will see him in the 5th round feature match of that tournament, which you will see in the next break. Other than that, the live stream will continue shortly. Welcome to the 5th and final round of the GOAT Local in Osnabrück, which I pre-recorded 2 weeks ago for you to enjoy why our live stream of the GOAT Grand Prix Osnabrück is on a break. We have Dennis Hackmann on the left and Dutch on the right. Both of them we had on stream earlier if you were watching the feature matches we had previously. And both are the only undefeated players remaining in this tournament. Dennis Hackmann playing Chaos Turbo and Dutch playing Chaos Return. Dennis opening up right away with a Delinquent Duo ripping Dutch's Grace. There's no better way to start your final than that. That was pretty strong. And Dutch is now left in shambles, discarding his Zabok. Question is, how much follow-up can Dennis bring to the table here? This is already looking like the start of a champion. But it's still a long way to go to win this tournament. We do see a monster, and it will be followed up probably by a spell trap. Dennis is contemplating that. Dennis is a very deliberate player. In the first feature match I had him, I cut a lot of his thinking phases out. I think in this one I kept a bit more of them in to just talk a bit more about some plays. And we do see a set spell trap here from Dennis, passing to Dutch, who is now entering his turn with only 4 cards in hand. This is what Delinquent Duo turn 1 does to you. It's like really frustrating to sit down at the final match after you fought for 4 hard rounds in that local, and then you only start with 4 cards because Duo is a thing in the format. Dutch sets the monster in the spell trap, and Mystical Space Typhoon snipes the Mystical Space Typhoon of Dutch here. Dennis flips the Magician for the second Duo. Dutch only has 2 cards left in hand, and now he has none. We once again see the main deck Zambara, which we did saw before. But nothing Dutch can do about that. This is so devastating. He only has a set monster left, nothing else. And will that set monster stick? Or will Dennis find an out for it? And we do see in his hand, there is a Nobleman getting rid of Zengen as well. This is so unfortunate for Dutch here. Upstart Goblin is a follow-up, and we see the hand gesture of Dutch. You don't need any game audio to know what that means. That is pure frustration, and this is just what the format does to you sometimes. Sometimes you're just sitting down and watch your own demise unfolding without anything you can do about it. But it's only game 1, and we are still not done with game 1. We know how crazy gold format can get. There's still some ways to come back for Dutch here. And I'm very excited to find out if there is a way out for Dennis. Firstly, Dennis did find a Thunder Dragon with Upstart Goblin. So he can thin out his deck, can get to a Light Engrave, and now summon Sangan to deal first blood to Dutch's life points. So it's now dropping to 7,700 life points, and it's on top deck mode. He really needs a good top deck here. What can he find? It is a set card. Okay, this could be worth something. Let's see. A Battle Trap isn't really good here because you don't want to give Dennis the Sangan Surge. So it's a very difficult spot here. There's no way to sugarcoat it. This is looking very rough for Dutch. Thunder Dragon gets tributed over Magician. Now Dennis wants to apply max pressure, which is definitely the correct player. You don't want to give your opponent time to draw into something. 2,600 life points later, Dutch is left on 5,100 of them. We do see a set card from Dennis, and now Dutch draws into his only second card, which is a monster, which he sets right away. What can Dennis do about that? And if you look at his top deck, if you glance at his hand for a moment, you did see something very beautiful. But if you don't see it, I don't want to spoil it for you. But Dennis definitely did find something good here, adding to his very good sequence of drawing. Raigeki Break is activated, sniping the monster from Dutch. And Dutch is now thinking whether he wants to respond to that. He definitely has a response. But what kind of response is that? Dennis dropping his Night Assault in the progress, and it is a Solemn Judgment. Dutch is kind of forced to activate it. He's falling down to 550 life. But now Dennis has Light Dark Engrave, and we all know what that means. If your opponent has Light Dark Engrave and you are hanging on to your dear life with that monster, there's always one card which is coming down. And this card is coming down right now. Knight of Silent and Thunder Dragon gets banished for BLS. BLS is able to banish the set monster from Dutch. And look at Thunder Dragon and Zangan. They are both together. They are strong enough to wipe out Dutch's remaining life points. And that was a really, really quick one. Rough game for Dutch. Not much he could do about it. But let's see how he can rebound in game 2. He does so with a Pot of Greed right away. What a way to get your revenge after that kind of blowout. We do see now a Zangan on Dutch's board, and he does normal summon it this time. Last game we saw him setting it, but he had a spy in hand together with it, so he was baiting the nobleman. So definitely a reasonable play. He was blowouted by the second dealing with duels, and nothing he could do about that. But yeah, Thunder Dragon gets dropped by Dennis here right away. It's very important for Chaos Turbo to find Thunder Dragon early on. This is something you sometimes understate, the importance of Thunder Dragon. They are resources in their hands. They are they're enabling your discard traps or your tribe plays. And so much you can do with it, and also it's a guaranteed light in the grave, which is so important in your strategy. Dennis now again is thinking what he wants to do. He's only facing a Zangan, so it's not that big of a threat right now. But as we saw plenty of times in this tournament, Zangan damage can snowball very, very quickly. We do see a set monster protecting Dennis from that damage, and let's see if Dutch can find an out for the set monster. And he's looking through his back row, and he does find the Jar of Greed first, drawing another card, another option to find an out here against that set monster. And there is a Grace! So Dutch is really saying, okay, you sacked me game 1, I sack you right back. It's a very friendly sack fest here in the finals of this pre-recorded GOAT Locals. If you're just tuning in, this is a pre-recorded match. The live stream will resume shortly. This is just something to give you some content to watch while we are on break. We will be live again very shortly with some amazing gameplay at the GOAT Osnabrück. Spy and the Devourer Lady gets discarded with the Graceful of Dutch. This is a light and a dark, so there might some chaos coming down. And of course, every time you're sitting on a set monster, clinging onto your dear life, your opponent will drop a BLS every single time. And the BLS gets to banish the monster. And Dutch even follows up with a Kaiku. This is very good damage to Dennis, and also Kaiku is able to remove the Thunder Dragon from Dennis's graveyard. This is not looking very promising for him. This has to hurt a lot, but I mean, if you're Dennis, you can't be that upset after that game 1. You kind of feel like, okay, yeah, my opponent has one freebie, but it's still not over here. Maybe Dennis can find an answer to come back. He has a lot of resources in hand, like one Grace or one even card destruction or something like that could bring him into a position where he can fight back. But right now it's looking very, very dire. Like, you do need a snatch here, otherwise you can't really do anything against that field. And even if you have snatch, there's still the back row of Dutch, which is a potential answer to that threat. And also the question is, would Dutch even commit into BLS if he would have get blowout by a snatch? So a lot to consider here. But you also have to find snatch first if you're Dennis. It's not that easy to draw that card. Breaker gets summoned, and Dennis goes for the greedy Breaker play. I love a greedy Breaker play. And he's that far behind. He kind of has to try it. He can't really, he really can't afford to not take any risk. And he attacks over Kaiku successfully and destroys the Call of the Haunted after that. But now he is in a very dangerous position. Then Dutch has a game shot on board. BLS can deal 4,400 damage with attacks over Breaker and his direct attack on his own. Zangan can then follow up and claim the rest of the life. And there's the Heavy Storm, and that's enough life points being dealt from Dutch. Very swift game 2, so we had 2 very, very one-sided games. Let's see if game 3 can be a bit more of a battle. Dennis does start the game 3 with discarding a Thunder Dragon, adding 2 more to his hand. That was the word I wanted to find. Thunder Dragon is a great start, as I said, also a really important one, but how much follow-up can Dennis find here? Both players definitely don't want to lose this here. Whoever wins this will win the Gold Local here, which maybe has not as same prestige as the Gold Grand Prix we're having here on today, but also something like if you enter a tournament, you always enter to win, and if you are in the final, one game away from claiming that title, you definitely want to claim it. So Dennis obviously is fighting for his life here, as is Dutch. We do see only a set monster and a set back row, and there is a second back row set right next to it. Dutch now finds his opening hand, and how good can it be? How good is it? What does he find? Is it as aggressive in game 2 as in game 2? He does find a Blade Knight. This could out the set monster of Dennis. But it doesn't need to, because we do have a Nobleman once again getting rid of that monster. And it wasn't a flip. I didn't quite catch it, but it doesn't really matter, because Blade Knight now is on 2k attack points and wants to bite out that much out of Dennis's life points. Dennis is left contemplating whether he wants to stop the attack, whether he needs to stop the attack. Can he afford to lose 2k life points here? And Dennis is saying no, he can't do it. So he activates a Wing Blast. Dennis interestingly playing Wing Blast in his Chaos Turbo. It's a age-old debate whether Wing Blast or Ageki Break is better. Right now, Break is definitely more popular, but there are some Wing Blast enjoyers, and Dennis seems to be one of them. And now we see one of the disadvantages of Wing Blast, because Ageki Break gets rid of a problem. Wing Blast only delays it, so Dennis has to face that Blade Knight the very next turn. But he does have a Mystical Space Typhoon first, so it's a very random blind MST. So he's very desperate to hit something which annoys him, and he does hit only a Jar of Greed. This is definitely not what you want to hit here. Dutch finds his Blade Knight and still has a new draw. That's the thing Dennis wanted to prevent to happen by spinning back Blade Knight, but no, Dutch gets his Blade Knight back and a new card, and he got rid of Mystical Space Typhoon in the process. This is not looking good for Dennis here. He still has a lot of life points left. He's had some protection, but Dutch is in a very, very commanding spot here. And he doesn't summon the Blade Knight, but the Kaiku. So he values the Kaiku more right now than the Blade Knight. Let's see why he did that and if that's a good play. Dennis still thinking about a potential response here. He's flicking his graveyard. And we do see the second Nobleman by Dennis. And this time it gets rid of a flip and it gets rid of Spy. And that's the best possible hit for a Chaos Return player, because you get rid of a very annoying card in your opponent's deck, because Spy is hard to get over. And you only get to banish 3 copies of your own Spy, which is huge, because you can bring back all of them with Return of the Different Dimension. That's 3,600 damage right there, sitting at your banish pile. That is the best possible Nobleman you could have activated here. So very, very fortunate for Dutch that he had 2 Noblemen to, as access. And so the blind MST did make some sense for Dennis. He probably figured the Dutch set some valuable spells there to pump up his Blade Knight. And if he would have hit that Nobleman, he would have been in a great spot. But he unfortunately hit the wrong card. So the play of Dennis wasn't, the play of Dennis was like a good read and did make some sense, but it didn't pay off. And sometimes your good reads just don't pay off. We do see Dennis playing around. Trap does shoot smartly, so, but he doesn't have anything else to do. There's just no follow-up. There's just the pass back to Dutch, who now summons the Blade Knight. He can, we know that the Blade Knight was there. He can follow it up with a set back row. And he's fearlessly attacking. He's not afraid of anything, which Dennis could have faced down. And probably Dutch is also having a solemn judgment here. This would explain his aggressive play. And Dennis is now probably left on his very, very last turn. He has only 2,400 life points remaining. He has to find something, and he has to find it now. Otherwise, Dutch will claim the victory. Not only in this match, but in the whole tournament. Let's see. Dennis, obviously, as deliberate as always, is thinking every single option in his head through, which does make a lot of sense. You don't want to make a mistake that short before the finish line. We do see the Heavy Storm, and Dutch now went into the tank, was thinking a long time and figured he wants to protect his remaining card. We do see the Solemn Judgment here. Dutch is dropping to 4,000 life points, and Dennis is setting a back row. And now Dutch is left thinking, does he risk attacking into a Mirror Force? Does he go for the game shot? or will he play it conservatively? And he is thinking. He is looking at Dennis's face. He's trying to read him. He's trying to see if he can risk it. He attacked with Blade Knight, with Kaiku. And that's it. Dennis with a complete brick, and Dutch is our Gold Local Osnabrück champion. Again, this was a pre-recorded local, and we do have a second pre-recorded local for you, which we will show also in between breaks of the live stream. But now, we thank you for watching for that one. Congratulations to Dutch for winning that Gold Local. And we will be back again live shortly with the live stream of Gold Grand Prix Osnabrück. Hey, du hast es bis in die Endcard geschafft. Dankeschön, dass du dir mein Video bis zum Ende angeguckt hast. Und falls du den Kanal noch nicht abonniert hast, dann lass doch super gerne ein Abo da. Like das Video, wenn es dir gefallen hat. Lass einen Kommentar da. Ich versuche auf jeden Kommentar zu antworten. Und hier siehst du die Playlist, die zu diesem Video passt, sowie ein weiteres Video, was dir gefallen könnte.